Welcome to the White Mountain Education Association's Sunday broadcast. I hope you're cooler than we are. This wonderful weather that we have, heat, temperatures in the 90s. Actually, in Prescott, we're pretty fortunate because we have very low humidity. But when the humidity gets up to 10 and 15%, we really feel it. So today, even though it was like 89 when we got in the car this morning, the humidity is climbing. So that means we're going to have rain. Then we get tired. Anyway, so let me not be. Such is life. So I'm going to energize us all this morning by talking about the heart and virtues for those that are on the path of perfectment. The teaching of self-perfectment is found in Agni Yoga. When I first read that word, it was like a foreign word to me. I've never been familiar with the word perfectment, and then self-perfectment I could understand. But over the years of studying it, I've discovered and would like to just share this with you. Self-perfectment is self-perfectment is for people who are working on themselves. It is not referring to a perfectionist. A perfectionist is a person who functions from the mechanical mind, from the ego, from vanity. The person who is striving and working on themselves is one who is striving towards self. That's the key word, S-E-L-F, self-perfectment. To manifest the potential, the beauty, the expression of the divinity within each of us. And so today's talk is for those who are striving on the path of self-perfectment, not those who are perfectionists, but those who are working on themselves. Agni Yoga tells us that our future is to reach human perfection. This is our future, human perfection. Then we are going to reach planetary perfection. We are going to reach perfection as human beings. We are going to reach perfection as a planetary being. The future is continued in infinite continuity of blooming and unfolding and manifesting the depth that is within us. The mystery which is within us is slowly unfolding, and there is no end to the glory that we are going to express and manifest. That is our future. So you see, with the perfectionist, there is an end. They reach a certain point in their life and say, that's it. I've reached the maximum of perfection. But self-perfectment is infinite. There is no end to the glory that we are going to express and manifest. So that's our future. When you take a direction toward perfection, your home life is going to be happy. You will not cheat in your business. You will be so dedicated to your work that your boss is going to love you. People are going to seek you out. If you go toward the hierarchy, toward the direction of perfection, people are going to trust you. As human beings, we must try to improve ourselves and reach perfection. So we're going to change ourselves. How? With the expression of virtues. Virtues will create an energy within us, like a shield around us. So virtues, the teachings tell us that virtues are communication lines with the highest energies in the universe. So let your creative imagination just soar. And if you're an artist, I know you can really do this, to think about communication lines that, or rays that stream from every ray in the universe, and to recognize that a virtue is the highest, it's the highest energy in the universe. Master M thinks that, for example, gratitude is the highest virtue. Imagine that. But if you read through spiritual books, philosophical books, religious books, you'll always find in true teaching the word gratitude. And here Master Moria is reminding us that gratitude is the highest virtue. If you really meditate on gratitude, if you really search its roots and see its branches and leaves and fruit, it can be a whole book of 5,000 pages that you discover about this highest virtue called gratitude. In one place, Master Moria says, "Great is the power of gratitude. It is the power that heals." So gratitude is a healing power. But we don't hear these things from our doctors. Can you imagine? Can you just imagine? You no longer need insurance. You no longer need supplemental insurance. You just go to your doctor and talk with them, and they say, all you need is gratitude, and you will be healed. So gratitude heals. But gratitude heals because it creates a chemistry in our blood that attacks germs and viruses and destroys them. So when you're not feeling well and you are on the onset of a disease, or maybe more difficult situations with your health, think about today's talk and think about great is the gratitude of healing. Think that you're going to be healed through the virtue of gratitude, and then take gratitude into your meditation and write 5,000 pages about what you discover. It is easy to understand that virtues are related to the heart. Yet for many centuries, humanity has forgotten about the heart and has emphasized the development of the mind in such fields as science and especially technology. Without the development of the heart, the mind prepares the most dangerous trap ever realized in the history of humanity, because without heart, there is no intuition, no feeling. It's heavy to think about, isn't it? But all we have to do is observe. Observe how fast technology is being developed. Think of AI, the concerns that so many of us have today about artificial intelligence. As great as artificial intelligence has a potential to be, especially we're told in the health field, what will always be missing is intuition and feeling. Intuition and feeling cannot be replaced by artificial intelligence. Intuition is that faculty by which the self recognizes its own essence in all forms. Let me repeat that. Intuition is a faculty by which the self recognizes its own essence in all forms. It is through this faculty that people immediately recognize the worth and value of the teaching. Teachers, organizations, movements, ideologies, because intuition takes a person directly to the core of things. So if you wanted a definition to intuition, that's it. It is a word used in a very distorted way in common literature, in mystic, religious, and psychic literature. Intuition is the ability to see any event or object from the viewpoint of the cosmic whole. That's intuition. From its origin to its culmination. In other words, from the seed to the flower to the fruit in relationship to the whole. In other words, intuition is the ability to understand anything in relation to everything else in the solar system. Feeling. Feeling is the response of the heart in the astral body. So people ask me, what is the difference between feeling and emotion? This is it. Emotion has nothing to do with feeling. Emotion is based on accumulation of love and rejection and knowledge and anger and hatred and malice and so forth. But feeling is something very different. It is the response of the heart. Feeling is the response of the heart in the astral body to what? To outer and inner impressions. That's feeling. Such functions are replaced with greed and self-interest when the mind becomes involved. Society is now trapped in the network of science. The pollution of the air, water, and earth is so great that if we were to stop creating pollution at this time, it would take us perhaps another 700 years to clean the planet. It's pretty startling. So this is why I started off the talk this morning talking about the weather, about how hot it is. And we don't feel good when we're hot. We're sluggish, we're tired, we're not out there ready to hike and to climb the mountains because of the weather. Pollution is affecting the weather. There is a program featured on CNN which you should pay attention to. It's a series titled The Violent Earth. The Violent Earth is an in-depth examination of our natural world and its changing climate. It was premiered 2 weeks ago, and the series can be seen at 9 o'clock Eastern and Pacific time on CNN. Now, if that series is over, you can still find it on the internet, probably YouTube. If this pollution comes a few miles closer to the planet, we may face an immediate and grave danger. This condition is what many of our colleges and universities and technology of our age have produced. Our heart is forgotten. And the people of the world did not use the light of their hearts to prevent the danger that we now find ourselves facing today. The heart never lets the mind think in a way that it will produce anti-survival factors in the world. The heart balances the thinking. It brings equilibrium to it and leads it toward those paths which guarantee the survival of life forms on this planet and in space. So when the mind thinks, plans, or creates, the heart is going to ask, is it good for everyone's survival? The mind says, who cares about everyone else? The important thing is me. The important thing is my interests. The heart says, but if something is not good for everyone, it is not good for you. The mind answers, who cares about everyone else? Let me accumulate things and enjoy life. The heart says, if you do not care about the future, you do not have a future. Not to have a future means to die or to prepare a life of suffering and pain. Our civilization is killing the earth, which humanity needs to have a future. The mind says, never mind about the future. Let us make fun and frolic now. Frolic? That's an old, I don't know where that is. Fun and frolic. Okay, we'll move on. Okay. I have to think about that. But intuition says, what about the children of tomorrow? How are they going to survive if we pollute and continue to pollute the waters, the earth, and the air? What about 10 years from now when your grandchildren will go to you and say, what did you do for our planet? We don't have clean air to breathe. We don't have clean water to drink or clean food to eat. And your grandparents will say, but we lived a good life in the past, and now it is your turn to create something out of nothing. It's very sobering. Knowledge and technology can be used for the destruction of humanity if the heart does not enlighten the mind. Knowledge and technology will be used for the destruction of humanity if the heart does not enlighten the mind. The enlightenment of the mind does not come from increased knowledge, but from increasing the love of the heart. The mind without the heart is separative, selfish, and earthbound, but the heart is inclusive and selfish and spacebound, selfless and spacebound. If we speak of the heart specifically, we are referring to what's called in the esoteric teachings the etheric heart. This center has one fire, but imagine this. This etheric heart has one fire, but 12 flames. Each flame radiates a particular kind of energy called what? Exactly, it's called a virtue. Actually, these flames are currents of energy which carry various names. So each flame emanates from our core. The heart center is like a lotus bud, and you exercise a particular virtue. The corresponding petal of that bud now opens very, very slowly. So this is the right way to activate and open your heart center. An open heart center balances you. And all that you think and do and feel and speak is for the good of all humanity, for the good of all living beings. But when the heart does not work, the mind becomes selfish and separative and criminal. When your heart begins to operate, the selfishness of your mind disappears. And the mind works in terms of inclusiveness. See what happens now? What's happening is the mind and the heart are moving together in sync. They're working intuitively together. They're aligned together. They're in a state of balance, in a state of equilibrium. Each virtue that comes from our core, from our human soul, brings a life electricity to our mental, emotional, and physical natures. So this life electricity energizes our health and our threefold nature. If you are a person of virtue, you will make the right decision at the right moment. If you are a person of virtue. A person of vice cannot make the right decision at the right time, and they fail in their life. The decision is to be virtuous. The decision to be virtuous is pro-survival. So you go back just a little bit and remember gratitude, and now bring it forward. Great is the power of gratitude. It is pro-survival. A decision to be a person of vice is, of course, anti-survival. If you are a virtuous person, you're going to be more successful, more progressive, and creative than a person of vices. Vices block the energies coming from your core, and make you the slave of the forces coming from the environment. Vices block our vision, block our thinking, our sense of timing, and the flow of our energy resources. But when you increase in virtue, these virtues make you fearless and courageous. They make you strive. So I mentioned at the beginning of the talk this morning about future. I said the teaching tells us that our future is to reach human perfection. This is our future. Any virtue establishes a connection between our physical, emotional, and mental natures and our future. Every virtue stands for the future. Vices are for the past. Virtues lead us to future achievement. So this is such a simple talk today. Hopefully you're listening and staying awake, because we all want to be successful. What easier way to develop and cultivate success in one's life is through the virtues. It doesn't take a huge bank account. It doesn't take life insurance. It doesn't, maybe it's life insurance itself. In other words, the point is it doesn't take a lot of money to begin to build success on the foundation of virtues. So vices are for the past. Virtues lead us to future achievement. Virtues bring in energy. That's where the money comes from. Virtue brings in energy. People strive to become like you. You magnetize them with your virtues, and virtues begin to meet what your needs are. And if your needs are money, it's the result of the magnetization of virtue. Virtues decrease our karmic taxation. For example, let us say you did many wrong things mentally, emotionally, physically, and they accumulated, becoming a karmic burden on your shoulders. When you practice virtues, you accumulate so much wealth that you pay your karmic debts automatically without suffering and pain. Let us say that your karma is equal to a $5,000 fine. If you do not pay, you're going to suffer the consequences. But before the punishment arrives, you earn 500,000 with your virtues. You can pay the 5,000 without feeling any tension. So virtues increase your magnetism. You attract creative forces in nature to cooperate with you in your labor. You attract the right people, the right friends, the right events, and the right conditions in your life. People who lose their magnetism by living in vice eventually find themselves abandoned by people and by the creative forces in nature. So each virtue adds to your magnetism. We have 12 virtues of the heart. Christ chose 12 disciples, symbolizing the 12 virtues of the heart. It is these 12 virtues, through their magnetism, that have brought great changes to the earth. Each disciple of Christ also represented a zodiacal constellation. He represented the energy of his constellation and transmitted that energy through a virtue. Christ was the central core of the zodiac of the disciples who, like a mighty magnet, were transmitting and transmuting and transforming and transfiguring energies from cosmic sources. Virtues make you ready to be used by the great ones. The hierarchy, first unconsciously and then consciously. It is the greatest success in life if you are used by great ones to promote the plan to establish the foundation of a better life on earth. You might ask, am I ready to be a co-worker of the hierarchy? You might ask, am I ready to be a staff member in the office of a great one? You might ask, what are my qualifications and what is my merit? Virtues make you ready in many different ways to be called to a higher duty and responsibility. Virtues make you ready to come in contact with subjective centers of wisdom and joy and vision. These centers are called ashrams. They are found in the intuitional plane, where a person can penetrate if virtues crown their head. Virtues raise your vibration, expand and transmute your consciousness, and bring currents of creative inspiration to your soul. A virtuous person continuously interacts with creative ideas and plans of the ashram. Now I want to repeat this because it's such an important point. A virtuous person, say you are a virtuous person. If you are a virtuous person, you are going to be in continuous contact with creative ideas and plans of the ashram. Thus, you are a creative person, being inspired, being charged with the electrical energy of great ones who have chosen you through your virtue to manifest and change to adjusting plans. So many are talking about, in the esoteric community, are talking about the year 2025. Are you going to be one of those expressions of the disciples of hierarchy? to strengthen the evolution of humanity starting in the year 2025, when a new plan is going to be given to humanity. It is through such contact that disciples become leaders and servants of light. So now listen to this carefully. Virtues literally transmute the substance of your body. As the virtues bring more and higher energy into your system, they make the cells and atoms of your body advance and radiate more light and energy. So eventually, all of your bodies are built with the finest elements to such a degree that together they form a field of pure fire in which no unclean physical, emotional, or mental element can penetrate. Transfiguration is the highest state gained through developing the virtues. So your bodies turn into light as the inner sun radiates through the virtues. Transfigured bodies can survive the greatest tensions and gain strength because of the tensions. The fire that is released at the time of transfiguration is called the fire of spirit, or creative fire, or psychic energy. This fire of spirit not only integrates and transfigures your personality, but also opens the channel of communication with higher worlds and higher sources of beauty and wisdom. Virtues make your transition a happy and blissful event. Imagine that. Virtues make your transition, when it is time to leave this planet, a happy and blissful event. You attract pure and beautiful entities around you. Your higher self guides and protects you. You feel detached from all world ties. You feel secure and protected in the next worlds. Your senses immediately operate in the subtle planes. Even if you pass through painful experiences before death, you feel happy knowing that you are getting rid of the dark karma either you created in the past, or that you are paying the karmic taxes of your many beloved ones. So let me close with this very tender story given by an initiate. He said, I remember a lady who had lost her 2 daughters. She was in a desperate condition, while everyone around her was trying to comfort her with no result. Knowing the power of the heart, he said, I approached her and pulled her head to my heart and kept it there for a few minutes in silence. He said, then when I lifted her head, she opened her eyes and said, I guess it was God's will. I feel all right. I think I can overcome my grief. As you were holding my head, I began to think about the continuity of life on other planes and about infinity. The initiate said, I did not answer her, but smiled. And she continued, I know there is a better way to comfort myself than with pills. Isn't that beautiful? So that's it. And here's just one more point I wanted to say. The initiate closed his story by saying this. He said, once we learn how to channel the healing energy of the heart, we become unseen healers, and we heal people on the physical, emotional, and mental planes. So, Study the teachings. Study the spiritual law. Study spiritual philosophy. Study spiritual psychology. And woven throughout all of these teachings, you will find virtues that really speak to you. And start with gratitude as being that expression. Because of what MM said, it's the highest virtue.